let's talk about the DASH diet. The DASH diet is a diet that, as you can see, has been developed to prevent and treat high blood pressure. But in our studies, we also found that it is a diet that could also be recommended for people with diabetes. Just a little bit of a background about the DASH diet. It was a federally funded controlled diet study to identify a dietary pattern that would lower blood pressure, taste good, and is acceptable to the general population. And as you can see, there were 4 centers that were involved in this study. And these 4 centers represent different areas of the United States. So something that would taste good in Baton Rouge had to taste pretty good in Boston as well. So the composition of the diet is really important for you to know. The dietary fat was typically around 30% of calories or slightly lower, which is pretty much a low-fat diet in current terminology. It was also a diet that was low in saturated fat, meaning that there were no fatty meats, there were no full-fat dairy products, or there were no tropical oils. It was slightly higher in protein than the average American diet that we usually consume, except of course if you're an athlete, then you might want to consume higher protein. It is a diet higher in dietary fiber. As you may or may not know, the American diet typically is pretty low in dietary fiber, somewhere around 10 to 12 grams of fiber per day, when the recommendation is 35 grams of fiber per day. So it's important to consider that. And of course, you know, we want to, in the DASH diet, we did not use sugar sweetened beverages, and sweets were only consumed in low amounts. So it is better to probably have a pear than a bowl of ice cream. So we can say that the composition of the diet emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and low-fat dairy products. It is high in potassium. That is the mineral that is found in fruits, vegetables, potatoes. There are often, if you Google listings of foods that are high in potassium, you can find even rankings of different products that are high in potassium. The diet was also high in magnesium, which is another mineral found in nuts and leafy green vegetables. And of course, the diet was also high in calcium, and those came from dairy products. You can find calcium in seafood and in leafy greens. And I guess a good point at this juncture would be to stress that when we did the DASH diet, which was the feeding study, we did not use supplements. So we used no calcium fortified orange juice. But you know, if you cannot consume dairy products or don't wish to consume dairy products, I still think that you would benefit from consuming at least a recommended amount of calcium according to the recommendations for Americans. The sodium, I can see here that I left out the word sodium, but no more than the recommended 2,300 milligrams per day of sodium, or as our study showed, you may benefit from even lowering your sodium intake to 1,500 milligrams a day. The diet is a balanced diet, and it is wonderful if you can consume this diet on a long-term basis because we know that it is a very healthy diet. So what did the study reveal? The study revealed that the DASH diet lowered blood pressure more effectively than the other diets that we studied at the same time. It was effective in all subgroups of people studied, meaning that it was a good diet for both men, for women, for African Americans and white Americans, for people with high blood pressure, and for people with normal blood pressure. So it was really a good diet for everyone. The one startling finding was that the drop in blood pressure in people who were hypertensive or had high blood pressure in this project was equal to that could be achieved using the drugs that were common at the time. We also found that the DASH diet lowered total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol. LDL cholesterol is bad cholesterol, and compared to those people who consumed a regular diet. We always worry about whether we'll increase our triglycerides with the low-fat diet, and the DASH diet did not increase triglycerides, even though the levels of carbohydrates were increased. The DASH diet included 3 levels of sodium: salt, which is salt, found in salt; high, which was 3,400 milligrams; a medium, which was 2,400 milligrams, and a low level at 1,500 milligrams. The sodium reduction actually had an additional effect on lowering blood pressure. And what we found was that the lowest sodium content had the greatest effect. So eating a DASH diet with a reduced sodium is really superior in lowering blood pressure than either dietary intervention alone, meaning that the DASH diet was better than the average American diet at all levels of sodium. And in all subgroups of people that were tested, again, we looked at those people with normal blood pressure, those people with high blood pressure, in minority populations, in men, in women, and in different age groups, and that was very important as well. So what do the results mean? The reduction we saw in blood pressure in DASH was associated with 27% less stroke and 15% less coronary heart disease. So the DASH diet is really likely to reduce coronary heart disease risk by decreasing total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, which is your bad cholesterol, as well as your blood pressure. So here's the DASH dietary pattern. It is composed of grain and grain products, and mind you, we are talking about whole grains as opposed to refined grains. So whole wheat products versus white wheat products. So white bread versus whole wheat bread, 100% whole wheat bread. It's a big difference. 7 to 8 servings per day. Vegetables, 4 to 5 servings per day. Fruits, 4 to 5 servings per day. If you remember the old 5 a day for prevention of cancer, we're talking about 8 to 10 servings per day. So we know here that we also have a diet that could prevent your risk of cancer. We also, the other parts of the pattern are low-fat or non-fat dairy foods, 2 to 3 servings daily. Meats, poultry, and fish, 2 or fewer servings daily. Nuts, seeds, and legumes, 4 to 5 servings per week. And control your sodium intake, or about 2,300 milligrams per day. And if you look at the common food labels on the products that you buy in the store, the recommended intake of sodium is indexed against that 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. So let's talk about the popularity of this diet. For many years, the DASH diet was ranked #1. It is now ranked #2. This is according to the 2020 U.S. News and World Report. The top diet is the Mediterranean diet. It scored 4.2 out of a 5-point scale, whereas DASH scored 4.1 out of a 5-point scale. So there's really no difference. So this is still a wonderful diet. It's number 3 in the best heart healthy diets, number 2 in the best diet for diabetes, number 1 in the best diet for healthy eating, and number 6 in the easiest diets to follow. Now, I might have to add that in terms of the easiest diets to follow, there are a lot of fruits and vegetables. So you have a little bit of work ahead of you. It can be used for weight loss. The number that for weight loss is number 10. And as you notice, there are 25 nationally recognized expert panelists that scored 35 diets in 7 categories, including those listed on this slide. But also, so it's the DASH diet was in the top 10 of the best diets for weight loss, for long-term weight loss, not fast weight loss. I think that the important thing to remember is that weight is important, and that going slowly with reducing your weight is really the way to go. So the experts from the U.S. News and World Reports agreed on the fact that DASH is a diet that fights high blood pressure, it's nutritionally complete, it's safe, and it has the ability to prevent or control diabetes. And these, in terms of what is happening today, we want to address high blood pressure, and we want to address diabetes, as well as trying to establish a healthy weight for our height. So simple steps to follow. Begin with small manageable changes, not drastic changes. Add 1 vegetable or fruit serving to every meal. Maybe have 2 or more meat-free meals each week. Now, notice I said meat-free meals, not necessarily meat-free days. So just cutting back might be a good place to start. Reduce your salt intake by using herbs and spices to make food a little bit more tasty. Also, too many on the market today, there are a number of salt-free products that are Cajun style, if you wish, and they actually are quite tasty, and so you can find it in 1 container rather than having to buy an assortment of spices. Snack on things like nuts instead of a bag of chips, and start switching to whole grains instead of refined grains. For example, use whole wheat bread instead of white bread. Brown rice and whole wheat pasta products are better choices than white rice and regular pasta. They may take a little bit of time for you to get used to preparing them, but once you do, I think it's worth the effort. So there's more information on DASH. This is a 20-page booklet that has menus and recipes, and I have provided the link to the website for you to download this book. We do have a few copies at Pennington, but of course we're not able to mail these out right now, but you are free to download this. This is a 6-page guide with the DASH eating plan on it, and it's available at this website. So it's a smaller, easy to read document, and I think you would benefit from, if you don't want to spend a lot of time reading, this one is perfectly good too. Both are published by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. And of course, there is a number of DASH cookbooks are available. So I have put this particular one on the slide because This particular DASH diet cookbook was published by the DASH investigators and includes lots of information on blood pressure and the study itself, and it is available on the Amazon website. So you have lots of opportunities free, and I just think that it would be a very good decision on your part at this time to go forth and look at your diet and see if you can't become more DASH-like. This is our website. If you would like to have more information on DASH or other opportunities at the Pennington, please don't hesitate to look us up. And I thank you for your attention, and I hope that you succeed in following the DASH diet.